Ever wanted a career in football? At the Global Institute of Sport, you can now study a master's degree in football business or football coaching and analysis right here in Australia. GIS is the largest provider of sports degrees in the UK, with campuses at Wembley and Etihad Stadium. Learn online with unique access to the iconic MCG and a big-hitting Australian industry network. Be one of the first Australians to get a football master's degree and join GIS's global network of football leaders. Apply now to start in February 2023. Learn more at gis.sport/FNR. That's gis.sport/FNR.
Since 1998, Lanco Group has been providing superior civil engineering solutions and advice to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Ever wanted a career in football? At the Global Institute of Sport, you can now study a master's degree in football business or football coaching and analysis right here in Australia. GIS is the largest provider of sports degrees in the UK, with campuses at Wembley and Etihad Stadium. Learn online with unique access to the iconic MCG and a big-hitting Australian industry network. Be one of the first Australians to get a football master's degree and join GIS's global network of football leaders. Apply now to start in February 2023. Learn more at gis.sport/FNR. That's gis.sport/FNR.
You're listening to the State of Our Football Nation on FNR. As we do each and every week at Football Nation Radio, we talk about the game, all matter of things. We talk about the game, we talk about the attendances, we talk about the tactics, and we talk about the fantastic surprise. And then every week up comes a result and we look at one another and we go, did you see that coming? Lachie Flanagan joins me this week, as he has done for a number of weeks, running the controls in our studio in Docklands. Lachie, good afternoon and welcome to SOOFN, or State of Our Football Nation. How you coping, and what have you made of this past week?
Good, thanks, George. You know what? A little peek behind the curtain to the people who are listening or watching on live stream. I often wish that we just turned the mics on by mistake about 10-15 minutes before we went to air, because
what did you have in mind?
Some of the conversations we have about the games that have happened this time I saw you, I think they're on-air worthy discussions. I particularly enjoyed the game on Sunday between Melbourne City and Wellington Phoenix, with Wellington getting that sort of late equaliser to save them a point. And what a well-constructed goal.
I thought their last 20 minutes was really exciting. City should have had this game wrapped up in the first half.
Yeah,
they did enough in the first half to win the game. But, you know, if you don't take advantage of all your opportunities, and we do this, we talk about this every year, and we see it at every level of football. And I'll tell you what, it'll be amplified come the World Cup. The sides that convert their opportunities will get through the group stages, and they'll win the knockout. And let's see who's standing at the end of the competition, because it will be that are the best converters. That's what football's about. If you can't put it in the back of the net, you stand condemned.
I also think in some regards, George, it's not about who's standing at the end of the competition. It's about who's standing when the competition starts, because there's so many players coughing such bad injuries. I mean, it must have been a painful week for you because of the Sun injury. Just
Devastation. Devastation was the game against Newcastle. I never like to lose at home. And, Tottenham Hotspur's new stadium has become this year a much better fortress than we imagined. There have been some very good results, but the game against Newcastle proved that you cannot start the game halfway through the contest. You've got to start at the beginning. The side, I don't know for what reason, it's just not bursting out of the blocks with intent, which is a word that you like to use a lot. And they don't say to the opposition, listen, watch out, we're coming. It's as if they go, welcome to Hotspur Way. Have your way with us for the first 45 minutes. Do your best, because if you can't, we're going to finish on top of you, which has been the case for many games. But the game against Newcastle proved that Eddie Howe's side has much improved. They've got players playing out of their skin. I think he's managed to lift the quality and confidence of a group of players that I thought were almost shot. Almiron is in a form of his life, is he not?
Well, absolutely, and it dovetails quite nicely with Newcastle's form as a team. They would be on one of, if not the strongest run, I think, in the Premier League now, with Arsenal dropping points a couple of weeks ago against Southampton. They'd be right up there with the best. And Almiron, it's hilarious. I mean, he's going to look back on October's Goal of the Month nominees and probably be 75% him.
Exactly right. And on that subject, we're going to catch up very shortly with Nick Montgomery, who's the head coach of the Central Coast Mariners. And one of the reasons we've got him on, or getting him on, is because the last time we had him on, the interview was so well received. We had viewers telling us they wanted more. We had management saying to us, that was a damn good interview. Can you organise another one with Nick real soon? And then, of course, what happened, we watched his side take on one of the best teams in the competition, Western United. And let me tell you, after giving away 2 goals in the first half, and yes, the other side, Western, got had to play the late stages of that game one man short. But my word, if you want to see how to outmaneuver 10 men in a hurry, the Central Coast Mariners showed the entire league just how to go about it. Agreed. And it does help when you've got some very speedy young players. And one, Garang Kuol, continues to open my eyes to his sheer football nous and poise. Yeah. He may not have the experience. In fact, we know he hasn't. And Nick will tell us 10 times he's only played how many minutes and how many games has he started for us. It's just exciting. It's exhilarating to watch. And they came home, can I say it, with the proverbial wet sail. I'm a Port Melbourne boy, and I watch the sailing competition each Wednesday and each other day in the week. And I can tell you, when you see a team putting it together really smoothly, that vessel can just about lift and fly across the water. And they flew across the pitch.
Well,
what they score? 4 goals?
Yeah, 4 goals. It was all quality. Well, Nick Montgomery, head coach of the Central Coast Mariners, you've heard George's summation of the afternoon. How did you enjoy yourself in that win over Western United?
Hey guys, good to talk to you again.
You heard what we said. We've had people from everywhere say, can you get Nick Montgomery back on? And we've even had the management team here say, that was a very good bit of radio. Can we get Nick back on? And sure enough, Nick's back on. Well done last week.
Oh, no, cheers, guys. Look, again, so it was nice to talk to you last time, and lots happened since then. Obviously, with the Garang thing, going to Newcastle, and then the All Access following him around for this game. But yeah, just talking about the game on the weekend, it was, I think, is what I expect from the team and what we expect as a group. And yeah, look, it was a slow start. We conceded an own goal in Wellington in the 88th minute to give 2 points to Wellington. And then, the first home game against Perth was, I think I said to the boys, we've had a good pre-season. We've had a lot of good results against the Melbourne Cities, the Melbourne Victories, and maybe a little bit of overconfidence and complacency. And I think, turning into that game against Perth, possibly we thought we'll turn up and win the game, and that just doesn't happen in sport. And I think that was a real learning for what is a very, very young team. And I thought the reaction against Western United on the weekend, I was shocked that we weren't 2-3-0 up in the first 20 minutes. And, then 2 counter-attacks. I think they got in our final third 3 times, and we found ourselves 2-0 down from 2 quality goals from a quality, a quality player in Connor Payne and assisting the goal against his old club. Again, something that happens in football quite regularly, but after that, I knew we'd get back into the game, and I really did feel that we'd go on and win the game, and we did that emphatically in the end.
I've got to say, Nick is our special guest, Nick Montgomery, the head coach of the Central Coast Mariners. Nick, I was watching your face when the side copped those 2 goals, those 2 incisive breaks, those counters from Western United, and I reflected straight away back to the grand final when they did a similar job to Melbourne City, and they upset them and won the grand final. I thought they had scouted well. I thought they'd got a match plan, and they took it to the nth degree and completed it. Got a bit of luck, yes, but they got the 2 goals in the grand final and they won it. And against you, in that first 15 minutes, your boys looked untouchable, and had you been able to convert, we would have seen a tremendous score on the board. Of course, we didn't, and then we had to watch, or you had to watch, 2 exhilarating bits of counter play or transition play, and Western were up 2-0. And I watched your face and I thought, he's not showing any panic here. What were you thinking at that precise moment when you went down 2-0, not 1-0, but 2-0?
Yeah, just, a little bit of shock, but being in football a long time, I understood that this can happen in football. I've been in games before when we've totally dominated and the opposition has one shot. Look, Western are a team that, like you mentioned then, they have a playing style, and that's to sit off and that's to try and defend and catch on the counter-attack. So, look, I don't think we fell into that. I think it was a case of, we got a very young team, Nectar Trantis, 19-year-old professional debut in the A-League, under-20 national team captain. It was his first game. And Tommy Aquilina, recruited from West Sydney Wanderers, very good young player. But also, that was his debut for the club. So, look, there's two moments in the game, which I said to him at half-time, where we got it a little bit wrong. Look, Tommy should have dropped earlier and blocked Connor Payne. And also, on the overlap, Nectar should have dropped for the second goal. So it was really just 2 moments out of the whole 45 minutes where we got it wrong and we got punished. So, look, I was never in any doubt that we'd get back in the game. And then at half-time, I told the boys that, and you'll probably see on the All Access tonight. I think some if the boys hadn't have played well, then, maybe it would have been a different team talk. But the boys were playing so well. We dominated every facet of the game. I think it was 14 shots to 3 at half-time. Massive on the possession stats, box entries. So when you're looking at statistics, all we missed in the first half was putting the ball in the back of the net. We had a Jason Cummings disallowed goal. So really, it was just don't change anything, but freshen it up a little bit and create a little bit more width, because they're already a team that sits back and defends. So, we knew for the next 45, 50 minutes they would sit back and defend. So, we had to carry on doing what we're doing, not change anything, but just get 1 goal and get back in the game, and that's what we did.
Nick Montgomery, you mentioned the All Access program. The APL and, of course, Football Australia and a bunch of others have said now for quite some time, and this is what fans have been saying, what are you going to do to excite us about the game? Well, this All Access program that has been launched now, and I think is it edition 3 or edition 4? I think
it's 4.
Edition 4.
That's right.
So far, what I've seen has been the most exciting insight and involvement that the game has needed for a long, long time. What's it like actually allowing the cameras to come into the club and be there in the dressing room? Well, are they intrusive, or do you have to say to them, look past it, we've got a game to play?
No, look, to be honest, they're good people. And, when I first came to the Mariners, we had the code, the life for the Mariners. And I remember them guys, once you get to know them, you sort of forget that they're there. They sort of blend into the background and, they sort of become part of the staff, as weird as it sounds. and yeah, look, we obviously, we want to grow the game here and to allow people to access, the good, the bad and the ugly and really see what it's like. And I think you saw that in the Brisbane one. Sometimes it comes across and people will be shocked, but, it's a pressure environment and it's about winning. It's about results. And when it is, you see people, you see the real emotion. And look, I think you do at times forget. I did on the weekend. I forgot the cameras were there. My wife reminded me. My wife reminded me with the swearing, and that's something I need to stop. But when you see it on camera, I think they'll show a little bit tonight. But look, I think people want to see the passion as well. They want to see what real football is and been in the dressing room and been in that environment. And yeah, I think it's really good. And you look at the Arsenal one, the Leeds one, the documentaries. Yeah. I think that really does bring the fans close to the teams. And look, no doubt sometimes it can be positive, sometimes it can be negative, but hopefully tonight will be positive because, the story is following Garang, a kid that came from nowhere. 2 years ago, he was a kid kicking balls around in Shepparton and now he's on the world stage. He's at a Premier League club. He's possibly going to the World Cup if he continues to perform and Graham Arnold sees him fit to go there. So, yeah, I think, looking forward to it tonight. My kids are looking forward to watching it and they said, Daddy, you better not be swearing, so I'll probably leave the house at that point.
Nick Montgomery's our guest on State of Our Football Nation on FNR, and what he's talking about is the all-access program that Paramount Plus and the football department has introduced to add some zest and some zhuzh to the, they say colour and movement on television, in television parlance. The competition is looking already infinitely exciting. What we saw in some of the early all-access footage, especially the Brisbane Roar stuff against Melbourne City, we saw two players that cared enough to vent their spleen, but and remind fans the world over that players actually do care. And you see it at training, and you also see it in the game, and you see it in the dressing room, and you can vouch for it. They really do care. It's just that how they cope under pressure.
Yeah, for sure. Again, like it is a pressure environment, and when it's your job, it's your full-time job, and I think people can see that. When you've got families and you've got a contract, you're fighting for the contract. You're fighting to get a new contract for next year, and the best way to do that is by winning games and being successful. So I think that's a real life picture. People don't see that. Premier League players are earning £8 to £10 million a year, but lower leagues, like the A-Leagues, they're earning a modest wage. And I think that, the statistic from the PFA is the most average time players spend in the A-League is 2 years. So when you look at that as a statistic, that's a damning statistic that a professional in the A-League lasts for 2 years. And again, we're trying to change that. We're trying to bring in young players that can, that can have longer careers in the A-League, but ultimately, some of them move overseas as well. So, it's definite real life, and it's good that the fans get to see that.
Nick, someone who's had or will have a relatively limited career in the A-League, at least to this point, but with good reason, is of course Garang Kuol. Now, we'll ask a bit more maybe about the Newcastle move later, but the thing that is, hot on the agenda at the moment is obviously the Socceroos squad selection. It's officially announced next week. A lot of people waiting to see whether Garang Kuol will make that final list. There are some people...
And JC
Cummings, of course, we'll get to him too. Yeah. But there are some people in the camp who are saying, would mount the argument that, how could Garang be selected for a national team, or how could someone be selected for a national team when they haven't started the game? Now, obviously, he came off the bench at halftime, got 45 minutes, played a pivotal role in that comeback. Do you think that he's ready to start, or is there something more that you want to see from his game before he can start running at 90s?
Yeah, look, he's fighting to start, but like I said after the game on the weekend, I thought, the decision for him to come off and be an impact, when I look at it, and I told this to Garang, that, if Graham Arnold is going to look to take him, he's not going to take him to start games. He's going to take him to make an impact off the bench. So, to protect him and give him the best opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I feel that's the best way. And look, you probably saw in the media a while back, Garang had a good pre-season with us. He was probably in a good state to start games. And then all of a sudden, the national under 20s team took him and Nectar Trantis away for a couple of weeks. So they sort of took that away from him to play in a youth tournament, which I didn't agree with. That's my opinion. I'm not going to change my opinion on that. Playing first team football is the best way of developing, to go overseas and playing against men, not playing against kids from countries where, no disrespect, but they're not top level countries. So, yeah, we lost him and Nectar for 2 weeks. He came back jet lagged. It took him 67 days to actually get back to where we expect. And yeah, look, he's got a chance to start this weekend against West Sydney. If not, we got McCarthy the week after before the break. So, yeah, I'll have to decide that. But, again, the question is Graham Arnold going to start him if he takes him to the World Cup? I very much doubt it. So I think the best for him right now is the impact he makes. And, he has to do it what he did for 45 minutes on the weekend. He has to stretch that for 90 minutes. But that's what he's got to grow to as a player. And he's only going to do that by playing games. So, yeah, it's an argument that everyone can have, but I've got my opinion and my vision of how best to protect him, and that's how I feel at the minute.
Well, I think it's a great point, Nick, and not many that people who would be advocating against him on that basis have probably considered. I mean, if Graham Arnold is looking for an impact sub, then what better way for you as a coach and for Garang as a player to show what they can offer to the squad to fill that slot than continue to be an impact player in this league?
We saw during the Olympics, Azani and Tilio used the same way as impact players, did we not, Nick?
Yeah, we did. He talked to other players then, no? But I think I haven't seen Azani and Tilio do it against Barcelona. No. And players of that ilk. So again, if you're going to, if we're going to compare, you're talking about three talented players there. But if you're talking about making an impact, everybody's seen what he's done. So that, for me, that puts him above the two players you've mentioned as impact players. And you do need impact players in modern day football.
Absolutely.
I think Newcastle United on the weekend used 6 subs, first time in a Premier League game. Yeah. So, why not use the 6 subs? And they're flying at the minute there, flying high in the Premier League.
The other player, of course, who George brought up before, who was definitely in that Socceroos conversation too, is Jason Cummings, and he certainly didn't do his case any harm on the weekend. What a performance!
Look, Jason is he's a top class player. He really is, and people ask me, why is he at the Mariners, and I tell them, look, the only reason he's at the Mariners is because he's made some poor life choices when he was younger. Because the guy's he could be at Notts Forest now playing in the Premier League, and I've told Jason that, and he admits that. But right now he's reinvented his career. He doesn't just talk the talk; he walks the walk, and he's a good character. And I think you saw away with the Socceroos. It seemed like him. It was like all about him and Garang, and I think that's because he's a character that he is. And when you go into a major tournament, I think you need good characters, and I think Graham Arnold sees that, but not taking away what a fantastic player he is. And not only can he create, he can score. I mean, look, on the weekend he could have had a hat-trick and he got 3 assists, and he had 2 goals chalked off. One of them absolutely outrageous from the referee to not stop the game, let the game play on, and then he scores, and then he stops the game and chalks it off. But I think you all saw the goal against Wellington as well. He's without doubt top scorer in the league if he didn't have 4 goals disallowed.
Nick, young De Silva, it looks like he's come back into...
Silvera, you mean?
Silvera is looking with some real polish. He's got a lovely bit of poise on him. Silvera, I'm daydreaming.
Yeah, look, Sammy's a very, very talented player, and I believe that when it all clicks into place for him, I think he could go on and play for the Socceroos because he's quick, he's got good ability. If anything, he needs to find that consistency. But look, in the first couple of rounds, he's devastating in front of goal. But in terms of what he gives, he can give more, and he's that's all clicking at the minute. And he's got competition. He needs competition for places, and yeah, look, I took him off on the weekend. He probably could have had his third goal, but at half time, I just needed to freshen it up. And look, Sammy's he's in the right place, and he's going to continue to develop into a fine attacking player, I've no doubt.
Well, we're thrilled to bits that the boys are taking, as they say, the opportunity to showcase their skills. I thought their movement in those first 15 minutes was exhilarating, and it didn't really deviate, even though you lost those 2 goals. The one thing that you've managed to instill in them is this desire to move the ball and move it in a fashion that can hurt the opposition.
Yeah, look, everyone has a playing style and an identity. We want to be a team that excites the fans, that score goals, that's got high energy. And look, last season we got the smallest budget, the youngest team. We finished the second highest scorers in the league, behind Melbourne City, who have virtually a Socceroos front four. So that for us is a challenge this year, and I challenge the boys. Look, we want to score goals. Obviously, you have to, keep goals out the other end. But yeah, I mean, look, we've given some sloppy goals away up to now, but we've virtually got a whole new back line. And although pre-season we had a lot of clean sheets, when the season starts, you do get punished, and we seem to have been punished by every mistake we've made. But yeah, I want to be a team, that scores a lot of goals, and that's why we've got a lot of attacking players and options on the bench.
Fantastic.
To that end, Nick, maybe before we let you go, with a view to the weekend, how do you prepare for a game like the one you've got this Saturday against Western Sydney Wanderers? They're second top on the table, behind on goal difference. They've only conceded 1 all year. Do you think your sort of movement-heavy style is one that can unlock what's been a pretty solid defence so far this season?
I don't doubt we can score goals against anyone in the league. I think the stats I saw the stats today. They're one of the lowest creating teams. We're one of the highest creating teams. So it's got everything in the mix to make it a good game. But look, they have a lot of experienced players. I was going to say old, but experienced players. And experienced players know how to win games when they don't play well. But we know that we're a good team, and we know that we can score against anybody in the league. So I do find it interesting. I don't know if it's because the season just started, but we're only 3 games in, they're 4 games in. Yeah, everybody's talking about the form of this team and that team. Right now it means absolutely zero. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and early season form. Yeah, again, there's going to be a World Cup break, and after that, I think once we get through that World Cup break, I think it will start to take shape, and a lot of games, a lot of points to play for.
The man making an awful lot of sense on FNR, State of Our Football Nation, is the head coach of the Central Coast Mariners, who's been enormously generous with his time, Nick Montgomery. And he's very excited because, as football fans should be, Central Coast Mariners fans, it's all on Paramount Plus tonight from about, I think it's 7:30. Is that right, Nick?
Yeah.
All access program.
Yeah, 7:30 tonight. I think it drops. So, like I said, looking forward to watching it. And yeah, they managed to capture some good moments for Garang and for the club. So hopefully we come across well on it.
Lachie and I wear headphones. We might have to send you a pair to wear while you're watching the program, so that you can please the wife. You will not hear any foul language.
Yeah, no, she'll definitely give me a crack if the kids are watching it.
Mate, thank you very much for, again, making a real difference and helping us get an idea of just the sort of excitement that is being generated by not only yourself but also that current crop of players that you put together. We wish you every success and good luck on the weekend. Nick Montgomery from the Central Coast Mariners joining us on State of Our Football Nation on FNR. Thank you,
Cheers,
Nick.
guys. Take care. Cheers, guys. Take care. Thank you.
And State of Our Football Nation, of course, proudly brought to you tonight, as it is each and every week, by GIS. That is the Global Institute of Sport. And we'll talk about them a bit more throughout the program. But coming up, a tremendous opportunity to catch up with a young member of the W League side at the Brisbane Roar. She's very, very, very good talker. She's taken us through a full, insight into what she's been up to. Her name is Shea Connors, and we'll be talking to her in just a moment.
Ever wanted a career in football? At the Global Institute of Sport, you can now study a master's degree in football business or football coaching and analysis right here in Australia. GIS is the largest provider of sports degrees in the UK, with campuses at Wembley and Etihad Stadium. Learn online with unique access to the iconic MCG and a big-hitting Australian industry network. Be one of the first Australians to get a football master's degree and join GIS's global network of football leaders. Apply now to start in February 2023. Learn more at gis.sport/FNR. That's gis.sport/FNR.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Since 1998, Lanco Group has been providing superior civil engineering solutions and advice to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Ever wanted a career in football? At the Global Institute of Sport, you can now study a master's degree in football business or football coaching and analysis right here in Australia. GIS is the largest provider of sports degrees in the UK, with campuses at Wembley and Etihad Stadium. Learn online with unique access to the iconic MCG and a big-hitting Australian industry network. Be one of the first Australians to get a football master's degree and join GIS's global network of football leaders. Apply now to start in February 2023. Learn more at gis.sport/FNR. That's gis.sport/FNR.
For Apia Leichhardt, one of the great grand old clubs in Australia, great history of turning out talent and also putting on very talented teams on the pitch. Her name is Shea Connors. She's from the United States of America originally, Connecticut-born girl. We're thrilled to have her. Shea, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, listen, how long have you been in Australia and have you managed to cope with the accent?
I have. I've been here like 3.5 years, like approaching 4 in the new year, which is actually crazy. So I've been here for a while, so I'm pretty used to it now.
Well, this makes you borderline Australian, doesn't it?
I'm practically Australian now.
So what have you learnt in your time down under? First of all, That time of the week, George Danikian, joined by Lachie Flanagan in the Victorian studios in Docklands, and joining us Flyers in a very special guest, Lachie. Someone we've been wanting to talk to for quite some time, someone who played a lot of her football last year in the NPL in New South Wales and had a great time playing for Apia Leichhardt, one of the great grand old clubs in Australia, great history of turning out talent and also putting on very talented teams on the pitch. Her name is Shea Connors. She's from the United States of America originally, Connecticut-born girl. We're thrilled to have her. Shea, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, listen, how long have you been in Australia and have you managed to cope with the accent?
I have. I've been here like 3.5 years, like approaching 4 in the new year, which is actually crazy. So I've been here for a while, so I'm pretty used to it now.
Well, this makes you borderline Australian, doesn't it?
I'm practically Australian now.
So what have you learnt in your time down under? First of all, let's go way back. Where did this start for you? Where did this game of football grab your fancy? And where did you start your love for the game?
When I was younger, I have a twin sister. So my mom just signed us up to random things like when we were 4 or 5. And I loved it like immediately. We did other stuff growing up, but soccer, just football rather, just, took like my heart. And I've just been obsessed ever since I was little and playing against my sister in the backyard and then, different club teams and in high school and then college in the States has a great system, So, I went and played there, and then I played also in Iceland before I ended up coming to Australia eventually. So,
wow. Shea Connors, did you mention that you have a twin?
I do.
Is she identical twin?
No, we're fraternal. We look nothing alike.
Oh, I was just going to say, could you imagine the impact you would have if you were identical?
I'm just trying to think. We have
double trouble
in the Victorian NPL, and now playing for Western United next season. We have a pair of twins who are. I think they are identical twins.
Wow.
Adriana and Melissa Taranto. And it's just like, it's a nightmare to try and mark them because they both play in midfield. They both look very similar. And I was like, if we had 2 sets of twins in the A-League Women's, that would just be, that would be terrific. You could also maybe send your sister to the games that you don't quite fancy playing, that sort of thing. Untapped potential.
Honestly,
anyway.
So what position did you play and what position does your sister play or did play?
I play forward, but my sister she played defense. So it was perfect for 1v1s in the backyard. And she was really good. She's taller than me and was a lot stronger on the ball growing up.
So she was a bully is what you're telling us.
Yeah, she was a brick wall to get past, real strong. So it was good playing. And then she played up till she was 18, but then stopped in college. A lot of girls because our college system is pretty much like a little professional setup. It's basically like full time. And a lot of people if you want the full college experience, it's just a different experience. And she wanted to go to school and, be more social.
Okay. So you played the game from very young. You played it at college. What happened then?
Yeah. In college or after college?
After college.
After college, so I had some offers to play abroad, and then I went to play in Iceland's top league in the Pepsi League, just randomly had a good offer. And honestly, I just wanted to go travel. So I was like, why not? So I played there for a year, and then it was freezing and a bit depressing at times. It was just so cold and rainy all the time. And I was in New York winter, then I went to Iceland, then I came back and it was winter again. And then I got this random, I had a friend of a friend who knew someone here in Australia that sent my stuff out. And then I got flown out by a local MPL club, Logan Lightning. And I basically never left pretty much. And then I ended up getting picked up for the Roar and then played with the Lions Football Club last NPL, and then played with Roar again, and then moved down to Apia, and now I'm back with Roar.
Okay, so from your perspective, how different is life in Brisbane and how different is life in Sydney?
Yeah, it's quite different. It's a lot busier down there, but I liked it for different reasons. I was living in Bondi. It was honestly
perfect.
Perfect.
I lived at Tamarama for a lifetime. So Tamarama is right next door to Bondi. And it's just the most magic place, especially if you want to keep fit, because it has all the running tracks, all the beaches, of course. So how long were you in Bondi for the year, were you?
No, just like the last 6 months, because I came right after our NPL season, and then just honestly like had a week off, and then went to Sydney and like played the next week. But it was incredible. Bronte and Tamarama were actually my favorites. I usually would just like beeline and walk over there, but I swear I walked more than ever in my entire life living in Sydney. Everyone's so active.
Oh,
and
yeah.
If it's like even a nice day, bad day, everyone's walking everywhere. Like I only drove to go to training pretty much, or games. Like
for people that don't know Bondi and Tamarama, they call Tamarama Glamorama. The reason is there's so much traffic, there is so much movement, so many people want to use the parks, they want to use the beaches, they want to access the restaurants. So it is full of beans. It is magical, especially if you have a job that you like and people around you that can support you. And it sounds like you had a wonderful time, because Apia are very good. They're a family club in so many ways. They look after you and make sure that they're playing great football. You would have had a great time there.
Apia was honestly, it was the best. They like took such great care of me. Like obviously as like an import kind of an international, like they helped me find somewhere to live. You know, they also helped me. I coached at a boys' private school down there at Newington College.
Yeah, on Newington.
Also,
well, that's the elite. That's the elite
it's
school.
incredible.
They're some of the greater public schools of New South Wales and Sydney. The GPS schools up there are almost like colleges, aren't they? American colleges.
Beautiful. That's what I thought. I hadn't seen facilities like this. The schools were incredible. Like I worked at the high school and both the middle school. And Apia, like my coach Spencer Pryor helped me set that up like right when I got there. So I had a job, and then I was playing, and then living in Bondi. It was honestly the best. It was a hard move at first because I hadn't experienced cold. I've been living in Queensland, and it is much like winter here is like not even winter, but down there I had to have my mom send me my winter coats from home. I was freezing.
So that would explain why you didn't entertain any offers from NPL Victoria then, because it'd be even worse.
Oh yeah, it's been the coldest winter in Victoria in years. We would have frightened you, but then again, I reflect. I've spent a number of winters in New York. Yeah, a lot of Christmases, and the cold winds off the Hudson, they're cold. You freeze. So for you to tell me that you felt great cold weather in Iceland, or you were freezing in Iceland, tells me that you would have coped with Victoria.
Yeah, I think living in Queensland has turned me into a baby in her temperature. My family back home, they're like, Shea, that's not even cold. Like I'm like, it's 50 degrees. I still use Fahrenheit. I can't switch that. But I'm like, I think the lowest was like 40, which is like 8 or 7, and I was like, felt like I was dying.
Yeah, you're talking Celsius, of course, and Fahrenheit, and we're Celsius. Yeah. The Americans have a completely different way of seeing the world. Not only do they use a slightly different vocabulary, but their weights and measures and all the gauges that they use are very different to the ones we use in this country. So they can be confusing. It's almost like the clock. The clock here is a bit different too, but we won't go into that. Listen, tell me something. How long have you been back at Roar, which is, as you say, this is your third stint?
Yes,
or your second?
I had a brief postseason signing. Like I got picked up when I first got here, and then obviously I played last season. So this is like my second real full season.
Okay. So how are you finding it?
Yeah, it's good. We just started preseason last Monday, so we've just been into about our second week this week, and it's been great. It's been a really intense preseason so far, and yeah, so it's been great.
So where's home for you in Brisbane?
I just moved back up. I'm living kind of near the Redlands, near the water, up in Brisbane, to the east, near Stradbroke Island, kind of that way.
You notice, Lachie, once she sampled Bondi, she couldn't go and live anywhere else unless there was water nearby.
So I need water. I have a view of water.
Okay, now tell me, how's the squad looking? You're a few weeks away from a brand new season. And as you and I touched on just before we started, this promises, Lachie believes this is one of the most important W League seasons of all time, and made especially so with the arrival of another team.
Right. It's going to be so exciting. The team is looking good. We'll have people like still coming back. Minnie's still coming back. Obviously, we have our import keeper coming in a few weeks. She had some time off from the NWSL. So we've had like different people that rested different amount of time. So it'll be interesting to see as the weeks of preseason progress. But right now it's really exciting time. We have a great group of girls. We've been literally saying all the week, like it's actually the vibe is really good and everyone's just gelling and feeling good together, which is like hard, especially when you get like, there's obviously some core people, but then there were like quite a bit of new faces as well. So it's always interesting to see how that goes, but it's been really good so far.
Brisbane Roar had a reputation of being successful. The coach is one who really understands competition. How's he driving you?
Yeah, Garrett's doing great. He is so organized. I've never had a coach so organized. Everything is organized so well. And yeah, we have a plan and a mission about what we want to do this year. And I think everything that we are doing on a daily basis is working to that goal.
Are you one-sided player or a both-sided player, Shea?
I think I'll be moving around. I played left wing last year. So
no, what I'm asking is, can you use both feet?
Oh yes, but yeah, my left foot is now probably better than my right.
Wow.
And I used to be like.
See, that's the college. That's the college experience. They balance them out. They don't let them come out incomplete footballers. I like that very much. That makes you very, very difficult to defend against, Shea. Hello.
Oh, sorry. For some reason, my thing cut out for a second. I'm sorry.
I was going to say because the fact you can use either foot, it makes you a real conundrum for defences.
Yeah, I think that's something in the American system. My U12 coach, I had changed clubs and I went to, and I remember walking in and he was like, you need to be able to hit the ball with both feet. And we like learned, and he actually like retaught us how to pass the ball, because even with our right foot, because he didn't like the technique of it. And I literally used to be like, this is so hard. So, and I'm so grateful because my left foot honestly is probably better because it's been trained since, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
It learned the right way. Instead of your right foot as a child, you just learn it as technique and how your body like naturally does it. But my left is a lot more like honed in now.
It would have been painful at the time, but probably worth the investment. I mean, last year, that being your sort of second stint at Brisbane, you're now into your second year. It was a breakout year for you. I mean, you hit 7 goals in the league. I'm pretty sure in the A-League Women's, I think that would have put you in the top 6 or 7 players in the competition, which for someone who was, playing in a wide position, is quite the achievement. How do you sort of set your goals for this season? Because that mark that you set for yourself last year was a pretty high one, and obviously you took out the Golden Boot in the New South Wales NPL as well.
Yeah, I think I want to be more consistent from the get-go. It took me like a few games to get in. Because last season I had played with Lions and the competition was a bit like we dominated my NPL, and I feel like it was a bit less competitive than this season. So I think this season I'll be more ready like from the start for a very like people with me at all times, and that kind of competition, the close contact and having to separate myself from with a bit more like intense pre-season, which our NPL basically is. But yeah, I want to continue to be, one of the main goal scorers, and I will work to do that. That's definitely on my list. And just to be creating goals, because whether like I score assists, like I just don't honestly want to be winning games. But I think coming off the back of another like Golden Boot season, I definitely want to just continue that form into the A-League.
Well, like when it comes to creating goals, obviously that's something you want to do if it helps your team to get a win, but it can only be so easy to be the person providing that killer pass when you've got such sort of quality midfielders in behind you. You, of course, mentioned Minnie or Katrina Gorry for those who aren't familiar with the nickname before.
She's fantastic.
Ishnori does a power of work in that midfield line too. As a forward, you must feel quite blessed to have players with their sort of passing range and vision to be able to supply you and the likes of Larissa as well.
Yeah, definitely. We are actually so grateful, especially Marielle Hecker in the midfield as well. Like having all of the options that we have this year is really, really exciting. And I think Minnie, or Kuchina Gori, for those that don't know, she is really hitting form. Like I feel like last year she was like still coming back, and by the end of this season, she was like really, just such a standout. And then she's only gotten better since she's gone, and all her Matilda's appearances, I think she's been like player of the match twice in the games she's played. And then is just killing it out in Sweden. So I'm so excited to come back because, like you said, it's like when you have people with honestly that kind of service, I feel like makes it a lot easier to, put goals away.
Is she noisy on the field? Does she boss people around?
Who, Minnie?
Yeah, Minnie.
No, I wouldn't say she's bossy. I think she's like maybe assertive, but not overly. She's just, honestly, her play speaks for herself. She doesn't have to say much.
Well, that last goal that she scored for the Matildas was fantastic. Frightened the hell out of the goalkeeper. she didn't.
She actually just scored again.
Say that again.
She just honestly, so she scored that goal. Then she went back, and over the weekend she played. So a few days later, she played a game for her Sweden team and hit a banger of a free kick in the 5th minute. So she is on fire at the moment.
Yeah, she is on fire, and you can imagine what she's going to contribute. Tell me something. Do you have a nose for goals? Can you sniff an opportunity?
I would say so. In my time,
yeah, see?
I think so.
That's an honest striker talking there, Lachie. If you haven't met an honest striker before, you have now, because when you ask them that question, the real ones will always tell you yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah.
Well, sometimes people say, "Oh, you're just there in the right place in the right time," and I'm like, for sometimes there's not. Like I'm at that back post for a reason. I didn't just make it the run up the field. Especially as a winger, I sometimes get those back posts like where it's like, "Oh, it's just a tap in." I was like, "No, I ran all the way up there for that kind of thing."
You saw it coming several passes before it happened.
She read the play.
Well, sometimes those opportunities are falling to you in the right place at the right time at the back post because they've gone past someone like a Larissa Crummer, who is a player who we've seen sort of come back into the national team fold recently. She
After
had
injury.
a solid A-League women's season last year with Brisbane. She's a bit of a different kind of striker to, I think, what your sort of average is in the competition. How do you enjoy linking up with her? Because she is the kind of player who does, even as a striker, someone who wants to score goals, is willing to work with the teammates around her and bring others into play.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys know, but Larissa's probably like my best friend on the team. So
oh wow, thanks for telling us.
She's probably like, if you have to partner with someone, we're always together. So honestly, I feel like that translates really to how we play, and we combine really, really well. And I feel like that we're both that type of player that will, like, yes, you'll be selfish in certain places, but we definitely will look to bounce off of each other and create things for each other. And I think honestly that translates like to some of the, like last season, obviously, like we had a lot of downs in results, but in terms of a lot of our play and the goals we did create, like those combinations, I think were showing about how close we were off the field. Cause I think that really does make a difference in like knowing where people will be and, the work rate for each other. And Larissa is someone that would work her butt off every single game for everyone on the team. So I feel like it just makes you want to work out hard to work for her as well.
No, we rate Larissa a lot. I remember seeing Larissa in her early part of her career.
2015-16, I remember
when she was part of Melbourne City. So she's been a terrific a talent, and to see her come back from injury and blossom again is just super encouraging. Who's the noisiest person? Who's the loudest person at Brisbane Roar in the W League side?
What do you mean loud? Like,
who's the one that's likely to lead the singing, likely to lead the dancing, likely to create the biggest noise in the dressing room? You can say yourself if it is.
No, I think I contribute to the noise. I think East Nori definitely has a loud voice. Always leads the vibe. She's our captain, so I would say her probably.
Very good.
But we've got a lot of fun personalities on the team. So, and obviously, like, I feel like it's just people are coming. I mean, we've only had maybe a week and a half of training in, so it'll be really interesting to see who opens up as time goes on.
Well, Shea, you mentioned that Ish is the sort of, I guess, vibes manager for the team. One of the things that I've spoken to quite a few A-League women's players about is that the choice of music and that being, how that functions as a build-up into the game. A couple of weeks ago on a different program, we spoke to Paige Zoyce, and she was saying that the setup for her NPL side was that I think this continues through the Victory because there's a lot of crossover between the two teams, is they have one of those massive JBL speakers that you put on, that is on wheels and you wheel into the team and someone's in charge of that. How does that practice work at Brisbane? What does the pre-match preparation look like? Who's in charge of the music?
They probably have a tractor. They don't have a trolley, they have a tractor.
Ish actually is in charge of the music.
I thought that might be the case.
She actually already set up. We have 2 playlists starting already. We have a pre-training playlist, which has like a mix of vibes, like some chill and then some like as you start to get going.
Yeah, because it's not as ampy, the pre-training atmosphere versus the match day atmosphere. Mm.
And then
what's the match play? And what's the match play music?
Oh, it's a mix. You've got like Beyonce, some rap. We've got ABBA, Man After Midnight. Oh, it's just a collection of pretty much just bangers. And yeah, we honestly, our team is always about the vibes. We will literally have music on always. It was a thing last year. Like in the morning, there's always music playing, just like as we're hanging out around each other, and then always on game day, obviously.
Well, as he's trying to talk through the music constantly, what are the expectations that your head coach, Gareth McPherson, has set for you this season? Obviously, finishing 6th last year, about 7 points or so off the finals places. Is it just cracking that top 4? Is that the clear aim for this year?
Yeah, I definitely think cracking the top 4. But honestly, being a team that's, once we're in the top 4, I don't think anyone's just to make it. I think we want to make the most of, every game, because even though, we had a bit of up and down in season, and then to finish so close, like it was within reach, at one point, even at the end, after some unlucky, I hate to say it, 1-0 losses and stuff. I think that this year, like we've said, there's no excuses. We're not a new team anymore. There's so many core players returning, and it's making the most of every opportunity. Definitely. And if we're in finals, we're going it to win it, not to just be a participant.
Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brisbane.
No, I'm not saying we're gonna, but I'm like,
no. Hey, I love that sort of fire.
Well, and
don't back down. Come, fire it up.
Look, I hope that you're right, because I think when Brisbane were at their best last year, you guys were involved in probably some of the best games of the season last year. Particularly that game against Victory is one that springs to mind, to the forefront of mind. The other big change about this is not just the new side in the competition for you guys to try and beat, but also the way the fans are going to be able to consume the comp this year. Obviously, all the games being on 10 play and the introduction of a sort of goal rush style program for all the simultaneous kickoffs. We've spoken a lot about it on this station. Plenty of people have had their commentary online. I'd be curious to get a player's perspective over what this new sort of approach to broadcasting the A-League Women's is, how that feels for you.
I think it's exciting. They do that for a lot of the college soccer games in America. A lot of them are fire, and you'll get the notifications, and you'll get a clip. And I think that's how they do a lot of the sports in America, especially like all the NBA games are on the same time. That's how you do it. And I think it is exciting, and you can keep on more tabs of just other games. I do think sometimes I like to watch other games, and obviously we'll just watch replays, but because a lot of them will be at 2 p.m. But I think it's exciting. As much people that can watch the games as possible, I think 2 p.m. on a Saturday is a time where most people are probably free. So I think that hopefully that drives more of an audience this year. And I just think anything that they're doing, APL is doing a lot of great things, like free tickets for under 16-year-olds and things like that is just honestly incredible. And so it'll be really exciting. I mean, I think anything to drive, more, because obviously, as you guys said, the Women's World Cup is coming. Women's soccer is growing all over the world, in England and everywhere. They're continually breaking records almost every game, even in the US as well, of filling out stadiums. So, and especially with it being here. And I think once that happens, when people see that live, like, the world's best competing, not just the Matildas, but like other countries as well, I feel like it will excite so many new generations as well. And I feel like we're just the prequel to that pretty much.
Fantastic stuff. Shea, it's been a delight to catch up with you. Please thank Angela for making it happen. Angela Batchich at Brisbane Roar. We wish you every success. We're going to try and catch up with Larissa. So, just gently tease her and say to her, the boys would love to talk to you at FNR when you get a moment. So if you can help us and act as our liaison, we'll be thrilled to bits.
Yes, for sure. I'll plant some seeds.
Once again, thank you very much for giving us an insight into Shea Connors and what's coming up and how excited you are to be back in Brisbane, where the weather is so much warmer. So much more conducive to your lifestyle. And we wish you all the very best. And we hope to see you when you're in town. And if you are in town, we'll try and get you on air.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
All the best, Shea. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Shea Connors from Brisbane Roar.
Perfect. Great to get her on. Yeah, all good. She's gone.
Excellent
That's
stuff.
the pre-record
Thanks
done.
for hanging in there.
No, it's fine.
Doing.